Hello, everyone. Welcome to our exciting session. Today, we're going to dive into the world of grammar with a focus on the dynamic duo of language. That's right, pronouns and antecedents. This is our first slide, so let me give you a quick idea of what to expect. We'll explore how these two elements work together, why they matter, and how to use them correctly. I'm thrilled to have you here, and I can't wait to get started. Let's take a closer look at some common examples of pronouns. You might recognize words like he, she, it, they, we, their, our, and her. These are all pronouns that we use regularly in everyday language. Their main purpose is to help us avoid repeating the same nouns over and over again, which keeps our sentences smooth and easy to follow. Now, what's really important to understand is that pronouns are words that stand in for nouns or groups of nouns. For example, instead of saying, Sarah went to the store and Sarah bought some apples, we can say, Sarah went to the store and she bought some apples. See how she takes the place of Sarah? That's exactly what pronouns do. They help us avoid unnecessary repetition and make our sentences flow better. So, as we move forward in this presentation, keep in mind that mastering pronouns will make your writing and speaking clearer and more natural. And now, let's meet the pronoun. The detective helps us find the connection. Think of the antecedent as the original word the pronoun is standing in for. Basically, it's the noun that the pronoun is referring back to. Antecedents are the nouns to which the pronouns refer. Let me introduce you to the antecedent. Understanding this concept is key to mastering how pronouns work in sentences, and it ties directly into how we clarify meaning and avoid confusion in our writing. So, whenever you're using a pronoun, remember, it's the antecedent that gives it its clear, specific identity. So let's talk about pronouns and how they work with nouns. A plural pronoun, for example, refers to a plural noun or multiple singular nouns. That means if you're talking about more than one person or thing, you use a plural pronoun like they or we. On the other hand, a singular pronoun refers to just one noun, so one person or thing, using words like he, she, or it. Now, the most important idea here is the golden rule of pronouns, agreement. This means your pronouns need to agree with the nouns they refer to in number. If you're talking about a single person, use a singular pronoun. If you're talking about multiple people or things, use a plural pronoun. This rule is fundamental because it keeps your sentences clear and grammatically correct. And of course, it ties back to our overall theme of effective communication, making sure your message is understood without confusion. So, remember, match your pronouns to the number of the nouns they represent. That's the key to good agreement. Now let's look at how antecedents and pronouns work together. In the first example, we have the cake, which is singular. When referring back to it, we use the pronoun it. So we say, the cake was very tasty. It had a lot of frosting. Notice how it replaces the cake to avoid repetition and make the sentence smoother. In the second example, we have Pip, which is also singular. When talking about Pip again, we use the pronoun her because, in this context, Pip is female. We say, Katia wants to befriend Pip, but Pip hides from her. The key point here is that the pronoun must agree in number and gender with its antecedent. This helps keep our sentences clear and grammatically correct. As we move forward, remember that choosing the right pronoun depends on understanding the antecedent's number, singular or plural, and gender when applicable. This is a fundamental part of effective communication, especially when writing or speaking clearly. All right, let's look at some examples to really understand the power of pronouns and their antecedents. First, we have the sentence, Tommy and I went to the zoo. When I say we, I'm using a pronoun that stands in for Tommy and me, the original subjects. It's a way to keep the sentence smooth and natural. The key point here is that we refers to the same people we mentioned earlier, which is called the antecedent. Now, moving on to the second example. Pip shows Katia 3 bobbies, and they are warm and soft. Here, they is the pronoun that refers back to 3 bobbies, the antecedent. This shows how pronouns can replace nouns to avoid repetition and make sentences more fluid. And why is this important? Well, it's all about plural power. Using the right pronouns helps us communicate clearly and efficiently, especially when talking about multiple people or things. It ties into the overall theme of how language works to connect ideas smoothly and effectively. Let's take a closer look at this slide. We see a series of sentences that highlight the importance of understanding antecedents and how they relate to pronouns. For example, in the phrase "with courage," the word "it" must refer back to something, and understanding what it is referring to is key. Similarly, in the sentence, "he must face the penalty," "he" clearly points to a specific person or subject we've already mentioned. Moving on, we see teamwork and love, which are nouns that can serve as antecedents for pronouns like they or it, depending on the context. For instance, "they enjoy playing soccer" shows how "they" refers back to teamwork or a group of people involved in teamwork activities. Then there's favorite sport and her, which connects to she. In the sentence, "she enjoys playing basketball." The pronoun she refers back to her, emphasizing the importance of matching pronouns correctly to their antecedents for clarity. Next, we have the sunset and watches, where he is the subject who loves to walk on the beach, showing how he connects to the sunset indirectly through the activity of walking and enjoying nature. Following that, trampoline and enjoyed the highlight past experiences, with she walking to the park, another example of how antecedents help us understand who or what the pronouns refer to. Finally, at the bottom, there's a practice question. Write a noun that refers to each antecedent. This exercise helps reinforce the concept that recognizing antecedents is crucial for understanding and constructing clear sentences. Overall, this slide emphasizes that identifying the correct antecedent for each pronoun is fundamental to effective communication. It connects to the broader theme of mastering pronouns and sentence clarity. Now, let's look at some sentences that demonstrate how pronouns and their antecedents work together. First, we have "the submarine went underwater. It descended many feet." Here, the noun submarine is the antecedent, and it refers back to that submarine. Next, "Michael shot the basketball. He saw it go through the net." In this case, Michael is the antecedent for he, and basketball is the antecedent for it. Then, Jimmy bought a new computer. He does research on it every day. So, Jimmy is the antecedent for he, and computer is the antecedent for it. Finally, Darren drove his new car. He likes it very much. Here, Darren is the antecedent for he, and car is the antecedent for it. Notice how understanding these relationships helps us keep track of who or what we're talking about, especially in longer sentences. This practice is fundamental to clear and effective communication, which ties into our overall theme of mastering language skills. Now, let's take a moment to look at some examples involving nouns and their antecedents. On this slide, you can see sentences like, "Tommy and I went to the zoo. We had a great time together." Here, the pronoun "we" clearly refers back to Tommy and I. It's important to identify these connections because they help us understand who or what the pronouns are pointing to. Next, in the sentence, "Dina wanted to complete her homework before midnight." The pronoun her refers back to Dina. Recognizing these antecedents ensures clarity in our writing and speaking. Finally, "the cake was very tasty. It had a lot of frosting." The pronoun it points to the cake. Remember, underlining the noun and circling its antecedent is a good practice to help us track these relationships. This exercise not only improves our grammar, but also makes our communication more precise and effective. As we go through practice questions, keep these connections in mind, and you'll find it easier to identify the correct antecedents and improve your overall language skills. Now, let's look at some practice questions from Set 3. Here, we're focusing on choosing the correct pronoun for the underlined antecedent. This is an important skill because using the right pronoun helps make our sentences clear and easy to understand. For example, in the first sentence, the context of the story or sentence will guide us to pick the right pronoun. It might be he, she, or they, depending on who or what is being talked about. Understanding how to match pronouns with their antecedents is crucial because it ties the sentence together and makes your writing or speaking more polished. As we go through these questions, think about the subject and what pronoun best fits that subject. Remember, the goal is to keep your sentences clear and grammatically correct, which is essential for effective communication in any context. Now let's look at slide 11. It says, "Is not to be afraid of the dark." This is a reminder that darkness isn't something to fear. The young girl mentioned this herself, showing her confidence. Moving on to slide 12, we see that older siblings often play a big role in comforting younger ones. Jessica was proud of her achievement, an award she received. On slide 11, again, we see the importance of recognition, as the captains of each team accepted their awards with pride. Next, slide 10 introduces a fun moment where the cow gave a surprised moo, raising its voice unexpectedly. It's a playful example of expressing emotions. Then, on slide 9, we see someone urging others to applaud, highlighting the importance of encouragement and support in group settings. Slide 8 shows Mr. Bob working with the audience, emphasizing engagement and interaction, while someone asked her to attend an event with her. Moving to slide 7, we see Sarah invited to a party, which shows social invitations and connections. Lastly, on slide 6, we are asked to write the correct pronoun for the underlined antecedent in each sentence, reinforcing our understanding of pronoun replacement, a key skill in clear, effective communication. Throughout this slide set, the main idea is to understand how pronouns help us refer back to people or things clearly, and how social interactions and expressions enrich our stories and conversations. All right, let's keep practicing. Remember, agreement is key. Singular nouns match with singular pronouns, and plural nouns match with plural pronouns. It might seem simple, but it's essential for clear communication. Next, the antecedent is the noun that your pronoun refers back to, so always make sure your pronoun clearly points to the right noun. Speaking of pronouns, they are used to replace nouns to avoid repetition and keep your sentences smooth. When you put it all together, mastering these concepts makes you a pronoun pro. Keep these points in mind, and you'll improve your writing and speaking skills significantly. Now, let's look at how we can improve this text by using pronouns. Instead of repeatedly mentioning Katia, we can simply say she after the first mention. Similarly, Max can be replaced with he, and his friend's rabbit can be referred to as it or its when talking about the rabbit. This makes the text more natural and less repetitive. For example, instead of saying, Katia has a problem and Katia is not sure how to solve the problem, we can say, she has a problem and she's not sure how to solve it. And instead of Max makes a suggestion, we can say, he suggests something. Using pronouns helps us connect ideas smoothly and makes the story easier to follow. This approach also aligns with the overall goal of clear, concise communication that flows well. So, by replacing nouns with the correct pronouns, we make the text more engaging and easier to understand for our audience.